Talking about concerns that the ongoing Transnet strike will further dent South Africa's economic outlook. This might also lead to a downgrade by agencies such as the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. The country is already struggling with a debilitating power crisis threatening business operations. Let's talk about this then with Owen Nkomo, who is director at Inkunzi Wealth Group. Owen, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. I referenced the IMF just in the last, 48 hours or so. They've in fact revised downwards South Africa's economic growth down to 2.1% and around 1.1% for the year thereafter. How much do you think this latest industrial action will swing things?
Thank you for having me. It's definitely going to have an impact, just like we saw the advent of the floods in KZN. People didn't realize how much of an impact it would have on the economy, but it's quite significant. And I do think that the Transnet strike is also going to, take away several billions of dollars of our total GDP count as a country. And, one would hope that these things, don't last too long, because the longer the strike takes, the less productivity we will have. And at the moment when we should be benefiting from a weak currency through our exports, we certainly don't need a strike like this at Transnet.
But of course, the demands by the striking workers at Transnet are similar to those of workers in other parts of the world as well, who say the cost of living has shot up. Things have got a lot worse after Russia invaded Ukraine, and there were sanctions imposed by the Europeans, which led then to an increase in fuel prices as well, and broader instability. So when you look at the global picture, things are likely to get a lot worse, it appears, before they get better.
Yes, and I think that it's going to happen sooner than we had calculated. We are starting even here at home to feel the wheels of the economy grinding to a very quick halt. People are now very cautious. They don't know what tomorrow or next year is going to bring in terms of economic growth. And I think it's those very reasons you're pointing out, which include inflation and lack of growth in the world, and Russia, which are having all of these, or rather they're coming in at the same time to impede growth in the world. And, they are ultimately going to lead to social unrest all over the world. Food is expensive, transport is expensive, energy price is expensive, and those are things that really touch most of our disenfranchised citizens globally. So I do anticipate that, outside of the recession, we will have a lot of, social unrest as well.
But where you look at the situation around Transnet, what makes it most alarming, perhaps, compared to other industrial action this year, is that it affects the movement of goods even beyond our shores. And when you look at citrus imports, the movement of coal, etc., that then leads to questions, won't it, from the global market about whether South Africa is still a reliable source of many of these products.
No, look, reliable, definitely we are, but
dependable, perhaps.
Yes, I guess, like I said, it just depends on how long this Transnet strike is going to take. And also, let's remember that Transnet is facing a situation where in South Africa, probably 90% of the goods that could have been moved on the Transnet rail network are being moved on the roads. That's why you're seeing all these trucks out there. But it's very important to understand that for every day that we're not pushing our products through to the seas, to the rest of the world, we are losing out on very much needed dollars. At a time when the currency is very weak, we need really to get an expeditious resolution to this, because people are going to start to go to other ports to try and get, or rather they'll go to other countries to get some of these minerals. Luckily, the reserves that we have mean we are still a big player in the world in terms of commodities. We just need to stop shooting ourselves in our feet and sort out all these strikes that impede us when we most need this foreign currency.
The IMF has already said it expects like a third, I think it was, of world economies to contract this year and next year in 2023. What does South Africa have to do to cushion itself from the full-blown impact? Yes, strikes aside, but more broadly.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, this call me. So I think that unfortunately, there's much of this stuff we cannot control ourselves. We cannot control what happens with the rest of the world's economies. Our fortunes are linked to what happens with the world's economies. But I do believe that the government needs to be more focused on making sure that we do our best to attract foreign investments when things are okay, and we also do our best to avoid overspending money that we actually do not have. We're not meeting our budgets necessarily, and some of the cash is being taken back to Treasury. So I think that we need to avoid wasteful expenditure because it will come in handy when the economy is not growing. And I do think that we need to be very, very wary of keeping people that have been in government for a very long time because we know what happens. Habits start to grow, and people cannot stop the habit of tapping into state resources, and it needs to definitely be guarded.
Owen Nkomo, good to have your time today, Director at Inkunzi Wealth Group. Thank you.